The only person really that didn't practice today was Eric Fisher. Everybody else practiced and got some reps in. So with that, we look forward to the challenge of playing the Bucs, and now they have a heck of a good football team, and obviously, or they wouldn't be in this position, and a great coaching staff. So with that, time's yours.
We'll go first to Herbie Teoke. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Coach, just wanted to get this one out of the way. Eric Bieniemy obviously was passed up again, 7 head coaching jobs. Two-part question here. How surprised and disappointed are you that he was passed over again? And secondly, on the flip side, how pleased are you you're going to have him for another year as you prepare for the Super Bowl?
Yeah. I'm glad I have him, but I'm not so glad I have him, so I was really hoping that he would have an opportunity to take one of these jobs. I mean, you guys know what I think of him. I think he's great, and I think he would be great for any of the number of teams that opened up and help them win football games and also develop men into men. So, I just think he's a great person that way.
Next to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Andy, a couple things. First, I'm just curious whether you guys are doing anything different these 2 weeks with regard to COVID that maybe you didn't do in the regular season, taking any extra precautions. And Brad, I'll have one quick follow-up as well.
Yeah, so Adam, the league has done a nice job of just increasing the different things that they've asked us to do to make sure that we keep ourselves safe. And, so that, I mean, we're rolling with that. They've got a good plan. They've done a lot of research on it. So we're just following along what the league has.
Okay. And Pat went to Kelsey and Hill a lot in the playoffs. And I know that's nothing new because he did a lot during the regular season as well, but he's setting records in how he's throwing to those guys in the playoffs. Anything unusual or particular about the 2 games you played that led him to go that way so often?
No, I just think that was within the progression, and he ended up reading through it. He's using everybody, which is a good thing, but those guys obviously end up being called on. Now, as you saw last time, the Bucs worked double teams against us on those 2, and so we've got to work on that and make sure we've got those things covered there.
Go next to Omar Ruiz. Go ahead, Omar.
Hi, Andy. I'm just curious, when you're facing a team that's as explosive as Tampa Bay, how that might affect your aggressiveness in game planning in a matchup like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, in this league, you've got to stay aggressive all the time. I mean, teams are just too good, and you get to this level here, and the Bucs are good on offense, or explosive on defense, both spots, and so you've got to do the best you can to score points and to stop them. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And but this league, I mean, there's so much parity in this league, and such a small margin between winning and losing, even in the regular season, that you're not going to be using too many 4-corner stalls. I mean, that's just not how you're going to roll.
Go next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Coach, just a question about your preparation. I know last year before you head down to Miami to play the 49ers, you tried to have the game plan installed. I know you guys won't be heading down until later this time. How has that changed maybe your thought process? And if it hasn't, why was that so effective to repeat it again?
Yeah, so the media demands, I think, are greater next week than they are this week. That's the way it is when you go to my to the last year when we went to Miami. So, I just want to make sure we have everything in, and when we go with it, and we can review it as we go next week. So, no different that way in my thinking. Just again, you guys have a job to do. This is a big event, and so we know it's an increased time period that we'll be spending with you next week.
We'll go next to Sam Mellinger. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Andy, I'm curious, when you have a rematch like this, and I know you guys played in the back half of the season, week 12, but teams change so much, right? Like, and I know you're going to look at everything, but generally speaking, can you give us an idea of, like, would you find the tape from your game in week 12 more helpful, or do you find some of the more recent games that the Bucs have played more helpful in trying to get a feel for where they are right now?
Yeah. So one of the advantages of having a week is you look at every game. I mean, that's just how you go back through and roll with it. So, but they're a hot football team right now, and they're doing some really good things, and both on both sides of the ball. I mean, Tom looked as good as he's looked that first half, and it's a tribute to their coaches and Tom and the guys around him. So, and then defensively, Todd does a ton of things on defense. So we've got to, you got to be sharp when you're playing against a Todd Bowles team. So
Let's go next to Sarin Petro. Go ahead, Sarin.
Coach and Brad, I'd like to follow up, but first, you did work a long time, Coach, with David Culley, and I know here in Kansas City we may be micro-focused on Coach Bieniemy, but what were some of the traits that you saw? I mean, certainly he's got a fine resume himself, but just kind of your impression of him as a head coach, and then I'll follow up with something.
Yeah, David will do a good job. He's a people person. He'll bring energy to the building, and one of the most loyal guys I've ever been around. So he's just he's a great person. I mean, we were together 18 years, so we had a few cheeseburgers together. Yeah.
And then your defense, Coach. I know offense, maybe sells tickets, but defensively, your units really come together, and especially here in the postseason. Did it click a little bit later this year? But do you feel like it's firing on the same kind of cylinders it was going into the postseason last year?
Yeah, listen, they're doing well right now. So I think that we keep that up. That'll be an important part of the game, obviously. I thought we continually got better as the season went on. I thought Spags did a nice job of just introducing new things each week. And we got healthy, and the guys just played better. I mean, that's how it rolled. But we're sure playing at a decent level right now. And like I told you this the other day, there's plenty of room to get better on both sides of the ball and special teams. But we're working on all that. I mean, every day we're trying to do a little bit more to make ourselves better.
Let's go next to Diana Rossini. Go ahead, Diana.
Hi, Andy.
Hi, Diana.
Nice to see you.
Yes.
Looking back from when you guys first played, their front four was really dominant, and you guys obviously have some injuries on your offensive line now. What are you going to do to help your O-line just improve and be able to keep up with this Bucs D?
Yeah, they're impressive, and they're playing again. That group is playing at a very high level. You saw that with their front against Green Bay, and they had constant pressure there on Aaron. So, our guys are working hard at making sure fundamentally we're sound and schematically we're sound, and we've got to. You're right. We have to just make sure we keep it tight there and good protection, run the ball well. Those things are important. So fundamentals right now, though.
Got time for a couple more. We'll go Todd Lebo and then Vahe. Go ahead, Todd.
Coach, I got maybe an unusual question, but it seems like maybe an appropriate time. You had some guys opt out voluntarily, the Doc and Damian Williams. You guys have any communication with them during this year? I know they've opted out of the team. Do you still feel like they've been a part in any way?
Yeah, absolutely.
Talked to them or anything? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, that's a decision they made, personal reasons. So that doesn't mean that we discard them. They're good people. So yeah, no, we've communicated. Yeah, absolutely.
We'll go last to Vahe. Go ahead, Vahe.
Hey, Andy. Brad, if I could have a follow-up too. Andy, obviously you've worked with a lot of great quarterbacks, had a lot of great relationships with them. And I know everybody has a hand in the offense, but I wonder if you might be able to describe what distinguishes your collaborative connection with Patrick.
Yeah. Well, listen, I think he loves football. I think our coaching staff loves football. I think you start with that. I think he's a good person. I mean, I like to have good people around here. I mean, that's a positive. he's a gym rat, and I think every gym coach loves gym rats, so we like having guys that enjoy being here and coming to work. So and there's nobody that likes it more than he does, right? So he's always around. He always wants to get better. I mean, these are all things I appreciate from him. Yeah.
And then the other thing, the last team to repeat was the Patriots against your Eagles, and I'm curious. You're in the other position now. Do you recall having any takeaway from either what the Patriots presented that day or through the game about how that was an advantage for them and something that applies to you in any way?
Well, it was a heck of a football game. I think it came down to 3 points or so, and I thought my guys played well. I thought their guys played well. I just thought it was a good game all the way around. I would have liked to have come out on the other end of it. I thought Bill and his staff had a great plan. Tom played well, and Donovan played well. So, I mean, it was back and forth there a bit. Greg Lewis actually had the only touchdown, I think, for us in the game. So, and he's on our staff now. But, overall, I just thought it was a good game. I mean, there were individual things I thought about. I remember from it, but nothing that just, blows my socks off there.
Coach, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
All right. Take care. Thanks.